Yo, what's up? Okay, so yesterday when we left off, we had some new gear we picked up from the Shard Dungeons, including a sword I've been dying to get since the Tradu Mines launched and the affixes on weapons became a thing. It is an unbending sword. Unbending is probably the most powerful affix in the game. Basically what it is when you get killed, instead of being killed immediately, you get a second chance. It'll give you 1 HP, and basically if you get hit again, you die. But as a tank, it can be totally game-changing. And if I would have had it earlier yesterday, we might have stood a chance at actually doing the Soul Keeper run we did on Tier 2. So, oh well, too little, too late. But, I'm going to be playing this for about 2 or so hours today. I'm going to take a quick little break, and then I'm going to be hopping into Skyrim VR. I've been excited about that game happening since I first got my dev kit 1 Rift, so that'll be a pretty fun thing to check out. If it's a buggy mess that sucks, I will be probably switching back to this, but we'll give it a fair shake.
Surprise!
That guy's real excited about waiting outside of the house. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to check my stall and see if we sold anything. I'm actually curious to see if I would have sold that tile set I had. If it did sell, I'm going to go out of my way to make more of them. I need to buy something cheap to check. But let's see. Let's buy one of these. No, did not sell anything yet. I think that artificing set is a pretty good deal. So hopefully I sell some of them. I think the main problem is that lots of people just don't know what tile set they need and yada yada yada. So what do I want to do here? All major dies. Maybe I should check if I can make any orange dyes. I don't really want to use them on this gear just yet. But system notice, the server will restart in 1 minute. Okay, well that's actually probably a good thing.
Hurry, do a dungeon. Let's go.
They've been doing lots of little like minor updates, and this one's probably just one to do a server side reset on something. Looks like there's actually an update queued for it. I'm gonna quickly load in that update, but I'm gonna wait until the server restart happens. What I want to quickly check is whether or not I have the goods to make a couple dyes like this. There is quite a bit of shit you need for this. I'm thinking I might be short on the Jokud Oshioth. That is, I believe, no, this one. So I can make 3 of them. All right, game is disconnecting now. So I'm going to install that update, and I will be right back. Shouldn't take too long. Usually these updates are only like 50 megs tops, so just be 1 second. And we're back. Cool. Yeah, everything's good. Okay, so what I was just getting at. I'm gonna have a look at two of the dies. Oh, they're back past these, I guess. Navy blue. How many blue moon spores do I have? I might be able to make a few of these. I can get more of these, no problem. But it's gonna require. So I need to go grab a few things here. I need obsidian, which I'm gonna get. Yeah. Okay, so the obsidian I would be getting from what's the place called? What is it called? Is this what I was looking for? Yeah. Lucian Plateau is where I would be getting obsidian, just in the general area there. I'm not really sure about where to get Jokud Oshioth. Blue Moon Spore is in the jungle. And what's the other one I needed? Rhodospore. I mean, Rhodospore is pretty easy to get. I've got a bunch of it, and I can go and get some more real quick if I need it. It looks like I've got more than enough. Why don't we head over to go see if we can get some obsidian? I'm going to need that anyways. And then when I'm in the jungle, I'm also going to pick up some linstanium off that little island. I won't need it right now, but for the accent die, I am going to need reed flute. I'll be okay on. Cloakfish looks like I'm going to be okay on for that. Chitrialtro, got 11. I don't need too many of them. Cryogil, I have tons of. And Weeping Croto, I've got tons of. So it looks like basically just Jokodo Shoth, and I can make a ton of orange accent dye, which is good because there isn't a lot of accent dyes available, and that's a good one for putting in the stall and for throwing on myself. Navy blue, I basically just need a little bit of blue moon and some obsidian. The obsidian being the big thing. I have some blue moon, but I'd only be able to make 3, and I'd like to be able to make a bunch of these. Like Rhodospore, I have more than enough. So basically the blue moon, the obsidian, and the Jokoda Shoth are what I need. So we're going to start with trying to get that obsidian. We'll do a couple loops around there, just back and forth, and hopefully I can get a bunch of it. Basically, if I have 30, I can make 10 navy blue out of the Rhodospore I have. So blue moon spores, I'm going to want 20 more, and obsidian, I'm going to want like 16 more. So if I can get like at least 16 obsidian, I'm good on that. So that's what we're going to go and do now. Since I'm going to be harvesting anyways, I'm going to walk. I'll pick up some apples on the way and anything else I see. Jesus Christ.
Oh! He's sticking his tongue out at you.
And Jay is here, Loser Com is here.
And then Decoy got his musket.
And
That's how you
Aeon
do
is
that.
here.
Okay.
Ricky!
He was fine.
Don't fucking ditch us!
Yo!
That's weird.
Jesus.
Alright.
God damn, I feel like cheap meat, man.
What? Why?
Mwah. Okay, we just need a fifth.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna carry on here. It's funny how, like, I find with resources, they won't necessarily be rare resources or anything. It's just you might miss them while you're harvesting or whatever. I'm gonna drop my graphics down to low here so I can see the ground in case of any drops that might show up here. And hopefully Hopefully we can find everything we need. I'm a little bit concerned because last time I went through Lucian, there wasn't any obsidian. Hopefully, because a server reset just happened, we might have a little bit better luck picking up some of that stuff. And I really wish I could remember. I hate the auto run. Sometimes does that. I really wish I could remember where you get Jokoto Shoth from. I feel like it is a like maybe a desert thing, but it doesn't, I don't know. And the only reason I think that it might be from the desert is because I haven't been to the desert in a while doing farming stuff. So it's a possibility that because I haven't been there, I obviously wouldn't get the drops that are from there. But I'm going to keep an eye out. They look kind of like a daisy, like, you know, the little tiny white flower with a yellow center kind of thing. So I'm thinking there is a chance that that's where it might be. I know it doesn't make sense for it to be spawning there. I haven't been there in a while, and that's the only reason why I think it might be there that it spawns. But it could be one of the resources, sort of like Queen's Ear, that it spawns everywhere. So I am going to check Lucian. Maybe I'll find it in Lucian too. I guess I haven't really been in there farming for resources in a while either. Usually I go straight past it into the wilds, so I don't know. Maybe we'll luck out, and because of the server reset, we'll get an abundance of all the things we need. If I can get the Jokoto Shoth and the obsidian in Lucian, I'm gonna do a few laps around that area to try and get the most out of it. I've got a pretty good idea of where stuff drops in here. Sometimes you will see stuff off to the right. Occasionally you'll see stuff up on the top over there. But most of the time where you're going to see it is just in the open areas, like around the other side of these cliffs. So that's kind of where I'm going to focus on. And I mean, I don't want to spend too much time doing the actual harvesting of resources, but I'm going to get what I need. I want to make enough dyes for myself as well as to sell. And like I said, if I can make 10 of each of them, that's like perfect. Or at least 10 of the navy blue. Because I feel like this gray shit, it just ain't working for me. If I'm gonna have to wear it, I'm gonna want something that looks a little bit better. Should take a look what's going on for the... Yeah, they're just doing dungeons. If I see a group posting up for the shard dungeons, I'll probably hop in there because I have a guaranteed daily anyways. And if I can get in on, say, like a level 2 or 3 shard, hopefully level 3, that'd be awesome. Ooh, let's have a look here. If this little yellow, I think that's Sedazaran, is this little yellow flower. So that's what spawns here. So I don't think Jokoto Shoth is from here. Yeah, that's Sedazaran. I should have known. I should have known. Sedazaran's my favorite. So I think what I'll do is I'll just quickly rip through here looking for the obsidian. Hopefully I can get a good chunk of it on one pass through. And I know it takes a little while for it to respawn, so I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be worth waiting around for it to respawn, but maybe. Like usually you'd see a couple chunks of obsidian down in here, and I'm not seeing any. Ugh, not promising. Not promising at all. I just wanted to check if there was another update pending just in case. Sometimes you'll have an update pending, and if you're not paying attention, you'll be like running on an outdated version that may have a patch that fixes something pretty crucial. It is quite strange that I'm not seeing like any resources through here. I mean, it looks pretty flat and boring as is because of the low graphics, but I'm like not seeing anything in here. And that's pretty surprising. I know there's usually some Knights tier that spawns right up here. Oh, very weird. I wonder if maybe they changed something so that when the server reset happens, it resets the resources as well, but like not in a good way. I mean, I'll harvest these because I'm here, but I don't really need them. What's this one? Cryogel? Cryogel. That's the last one I need. I have like 60 of those. Oh. I should have checked to see if anybody was selling obsidian. Maybe somebody has a ton of it and they're just like, yeah, selling it for cheap. I might do that before heading to the jungle. I might stop in at Guild City and see if anyone's just selling obsidian. I think this one will be obsidian. Yeah. I need to find a verifiable location in here that has obsidian. And if I can find 2 or 3 places that obsidian for sure is spawning, like right now, then I should be able to ping pong back and forth to them. Hopefully like 3 spots. And get a little bit more resources out of them. I mean, right now I've got 1, and for my time, that's not really worth it. I feel like obsidian might be the most valuable of these resources, just because of the amount of places it can drop. It doesn't seem nearly as high as, like, say, Cryogel, where you go to the Lamb of Oran Wilds and it's like everywhere. I don't think anything spawns down here. Could be wrong, but I don't think anything spawns down here on the way to the wilds. Not for obsidian anyways. But I hope I'm proven wrong, because there is one in the wilds here from what I can tell. I'm curious if maybe it spawns elsewhere. You know what? I'm going to post a quick little question to the community. See if anyone else has an answer they can give me. Okay, so I posted a question and updated my stream title to accurately reflect what I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm hoping I can find obsidian somewhere else in the world. This is the only one I know for sure that you can find it. Yeah, there's nothing. It's just strange there's only one spawn location for it. I feel like it's absurdly low. But maybe if it drops in other places as well. It might be okay. I think it's a resource rarity thing that, like, they tried to make certain resources a little bit more rare than others, in the hopes that, you know, you would have tiers of things in the economy that, you know, would have different values to keep the secondhand market with stalls and stuff a little bit more lively. But I'm hoping that I can find enough of it that it'll be more valuable to make the dyes than it will be to just sell the obsidian I mine. I'd rather contribute to the actual economy with a product. I like games that have a role of, like, craftsman, you know, like where you can work at a certain trade, make a certain thing, and become proficient at selling something made from raw materials that has an inherent value that is more than those raw materials. And I think it's dangerous when you have really rare resource drops. Okay, here's one here. It's good. Hopefully it's obsidian. It looks kind of like it might be. Oh. Ooh, wow, what luck. Okay, so here are the couple places that I can find it, I guess. I knew I could get some here. Maybe it was just the way the spawn-in was happening. I'm going to make a little loop down here to see if anything else is spawned down here. But if I can get three in the zone from just running back and forth between that point and that point, that might not be too bad. I just need to check if there's any that spawn around the corner over there. So hopefully we can get actually like 4 of them, but per run through the zone. I don't know what the respawn time is on them. I don't know if anybody actually does. Kind of might be a good experiment at some point to harvest a resource, stand and wait and see how long it takes for it to respawn and whether or not it will respawn in the exact same spot. All right, it doesn't look like we're going to see anything else in here. Maybe I'll go and have a look in the upper area and over there just by the ship just to see if anything will spawn in there, because I know now of 3 specific obsidian drops that'll spawn in. So hopefully I can get maybe a couple more to make it worthwhile to actually go around the whole zone. Especially if the respawn timer for those resources is a little bit longer. It doesn't make much sense to stand around and wait. It makes more sense to go all the way to the other end, grab some stuff, and then come back. As much of a hassle as it is like walking around, it will be a little bit better to pick up the resources that way. That guy is not a high enough level to be in here. Level 7, he gonna hurt. Doesn't seem to be as many thieves in this area now. Unless they just haven't spawned in and they're gonna all pop up at once. Kind of seems like they changed the enemies in here. There used to be a ton of enemies that would be in here, like thieves and orgs and what are they called? Like the warg master guys. I think for this area, I'm going to raise up my settings. You can see fine through here anyways. And it's a hell of a lot less boring. So I don't actually, it's been so long since I've been up here, I don't actually know what normally spawns up here. So hopefully it's worth the trip of coming all the way around and up here, because unless that guy harvested some stuff, there shouldn't actually be anything that spawns in that little area. And I didn't recall there being anything that spawned in there, so I don't know. Okay. 3 of them. That is 4. Oh my god, this is where you got to come for these things, I guess. So now I consider it worth it to make that trip. Because if I know when I come up here, I'm going to get 4 of these plus a couple Sadazaran, that's completely worth it. So from one loop around, I get 7 obsidian. So now what I want to do is get back around there, and hopefully, in the time it took me to get over here and come back, that obsidian that I harvested in the middle, those two that were side by side, hopefully those are respawned, and then I can walk down, grab the one that I harvested first, come back, come over here, and pick up these ones again. So hopefully the timer works, is that tight. I mean, it's not like it's quick to do this, but you know, even if it took me 10 minutes to go from here to there and back, which I don't think it does. I think it's like closer to like 5 minutes or something like that. Even if it took me that long, that should be a reasonable respawn timer for these. But I won't really know until I get over there. Ideally, the two that I harvested right before harvesting those ones will already be back up. But don't really know. And hopefully somebody answers my question about Jakuta Shoth. I really want to know where I got to get that stuff. I feel like I've seen it everywhere. Maybe it's in Lamb of Orin. I don't know. You get so many different things in Lamb of Orin. It's kind of, my brain's kind of flip flopping on some stuff. But the fact that I don't have much of it, and I'm in Lamb of Orin a lot more frequently harvesting than elsewhere, would kind of make sense for as to why it wouldn't be there.
I went that way.
And hopefully those guys didn't mess up the cycle and maybe harvest that stuff. I don't really think they were high enough level to even actually be able to progress into here. I mean, they're going to get aggroed by everything, and just walking up here, I think you might pull aggro. I think those things were spawned right in here, so they're probably not back up yet, which is okay. So we'll head straight to the back, harvest the one we did, and then come back over here, harvest those, then go back around. And I really don't want to have to worry that it's only gonna spawn, like it's gonna take too long to spawn. So I don't want to stand on a point and wait. I hate doing that, but if I need to do that, I'm going to, because I need that obsidian. I've been short on obsidian for a while, and you need it for a few different things. The artificing I did yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday. The artificing I did then required it. The potion, or the dyes I want to make today, they require it. And I think that those are like, it's worthwhile to farm out those things. And I believe, like, I'd have to look around and see what other people are selling it for, but I believe that the navy dye won't be like a super expensive dye, but the orange accent dye, there aren't a lot of accent dyes available in the game. And depending on how saturated the market is with it, which I don't think it's that saturated, it might be a pretty valuable dye. I don't know. I don't see a lot of people using it, which tells me that there's not a lot of people crafting it. Because if you got the resources and the recipe and all that to craft it, you're pretty likely to use it, to have it on stuff, because it looks good. Right? Like on this, I've got the royal purple accent dye, I think it's called. And that one is from aberrations in the Lamb of Orin wilds. And this one is the B major dye, which is from aberrations in the Lucian Wilds. And the orange is crafted, the navy is crafted. I don't know that I'd want to do orange with this. I think these colors look good, and navy and orange looks good. So those are probably my two favorite combos so far. I've seen a few people who have some pretty interesting combos that look good, but I like to look a little bit on the flashy side, and the navy and orange combo, the orange is the flashy part, and the B and purple side, the B is obviously the flashy part. So I like to kind of mix that muted and flashy combo. This one I think is a little bit too bright for me, to be honest. I think I do prefer the navy and orange, but I think the armor you're using and the dye, like the armor you're using kind of determines the dye you should be putting on. And I don't yet know how this armor is going to dye out. I don't know what sections of it are accents and what sections are primary yet. And I don't know that I want to dye this set until I can. Shit. I think I'm gonna end up having to wait here. Yeah. I think I'm gonna wait to dye this set until I have the full set from here. I mean, the Techno chestplate and Techno shoulders I have are not like the chestplate I'd maybe consider dyeing. The shoulders I don't really want to because they're not a great roll. And then these gauntlets and this helm are from Proto set, so I would rather wait until I get a better roll on those. And I'm still kind of on the fence about whether or not I should just go into pure magic defense. It might be a lot more viable as a build strategy because you get that resistance to poison, I think. Well, not resistance, but you can defend against poison damage a little bit better, which is going to go a pretty long way. Oh, man. I think I'm going to kill that Vulp just to kill some time here. I really don't like how long the respawn rate is for these resources. I think if I'm willing to walk around and like look for a specific resource and find the spawn points of that specific resource, the game should be a little bit more lenient in terms of giving me those drops. I mean, if I can walk around the entire zone, come back, and it's not respawned, that tells me that the respawn rate is too slow, or that there's too few of those resources around. I mean, if I could walk around here and get 20 obsidian and then in one run and then just leave, I would do that. I wouldn't camp around and wait, but I need a bunch more obsidian still. I think I had 7, and I'm gonna need like 30 of them. So I'm halfway there, so I need to get like 15 more obsidian. And the idea that I have to wait around this long to get it is pretty annoying. But it'll be worth it for the dyes that I can make and sell and use. So I need it for the navy blue dye, and I also need it for, if I'm not mistaken, it was the F rune. Yeah, so I need it for the F rune, which I use quite a bit. Need it for the affliction one, which I believe is the hamstring, which I don't need it as much for that. I need it for the cross symbol, which I believe is a speed symbol. Yeah, so the cross is a speed symbol, and I'll need it for that. And I don't need it for this speed symbol, which is a little bit faster, and I tend to proc this one more often than this one. But having them both works well for me because it's basically what it's doing is it's saying when I have multiple attacks that are the wound combo. See right there, what it's saying is I'm doing a wound at a certain speed and then a wound at a faster speed, which I naturally tend to do anyways. Because of the way you swing, your first swing is always going to be sort of a warm-up swing, and then when you get going faster, it's going to be, so that's the combo I like to use for wound. Everybody's a little bit different. But yeah, I need obsidian for pretty much everything, and the drop rate for it is just absurdly low. Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to go up to, I'm going to walk around, go up top there, and see if those have already spawned, because there is a chance that somebody came through here, those low-level guys, harvested that, and moved on. I don't think they're strong enough to have gotten up that hill, so there's a chance that maybe those have respawned quicker. That's what I'm hoping for anyways. Either way, I'm going to go check that, then I'm going to teleport over to Guild City, have a look at the pricing on them. I mean, I'm got a little bit of dram, so if I need to buy some, I can. I'm going to look at the pricing of Jokuda Shoth as well. That stuff's drop rate is probably better than Obsidian. I just don't remember where to find it, so. Okay, so Eris just replied to me. Jokuda Shoth is in the desert. It's a white flower, so I was right. So we'll go to the desert after we go to Guild City. And like I said, I just want to check pricing. If it's cheap, I mean, if I can get those for like, I don't know, maybe 100 or 200 dram, that's not that bad. And it might be worthwhile to just buy some instead of harvesting it. But I kind of want to harvest it so I'm not burning through my cash reserves so quickly. I just wish they increased the spawn rate for some of this stuff, or if they made, say, a talent or something that would let you have a 50-20% chance, something like that, of harvesting extra resources when you harvest. Currently, they don't really have anything like that. And I think that would be huge. I'd be willing to sacrifice $1,000 in dram when I go on a harvesting day where I'm like, okay, the next few hours I'm going to be just harvesting the shit out of everything I see. Those kind of days, you're going to want to go and get those extra resources. It's going to be worth it if you're spending the time to respec yourself for 500 with the Potion of Forgetfulness and do your harvesting, and then respec again for another 500, because the resources you get far outweigh that 1,000 dram you spent. Or if it wasn't a talent, maybe a weapon skill. You have the Treasure Hunter sword, which, fuck, I should have actually gotten that one out of my stash before leaving today so I could try it out and see how much dram I would be getting just going through killing random mobs. And I'm really, really, really hoping that obsidian is spawned back up here. But I don't think it is. Oh, one is, which means the other ones are probably coming back right away. So those guys must have harvested those ones that were down there. Unless not all obsidian has the same spawn rate, which would also be an interesting thing to test out. If those had the same spawn rate, they should, in theory, if they always spawn in the same spot and the resource has the same spawn rate, they should have all spawned back in at the same time according to how fast I walked around that loop. And they didn't. Interesting. I'm just gonna give it a little bit longer because I know that this spot, a whole bunch of them can spawn here. The other spots, 1, maybe 2, which isn't nearly as worth it for me. I am gonna wait just a little bit longer. Yeah, I might set about testing that one of these days here. Okay, so if I can see that resort, that I don't know if you can see this, but right down there, there's a weeping croto, and if I can see that one down there, it might be I might be able to see the other resources, such as obsidian. Where's this go? The only reason I mentioned that is because when I was over there, I was overlooking where that obsidian should spawn down below where I was at earlier, and I didn't see any. I don't want to sit around burning time here, so I think I'm going to teleport over to Guild City and have a look-see. Okay. What is the Guild City one? Left Y, center Y? Something like that. Let's try that. I think I got the right one. Yeah. I have a feeling both of these resources are going to be pretty expensive, but I'm hoping that somebody's selling them for a reasonable price. Like I said, if they're not too expensive, I wouldn't mind paying for them, but am I going to see Jakuta Shoth for 90 dram? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, that's Seafoam. Periwinkle. So Orange Accent he's got for 2,800. I think this stall's still empty. Yep. So 125 for Jakuta Shoth isn't too bad. All right. Well, I think I'm going to pick up some of that Jakuta Shoth this guy's selling. 1, 2, 3. That works for me. So I got 8 of them. At least we got something now. And now let's head over to... What's that? Let's head over to the desert. All right, so we're looking for a couple things out here. I'm not sure where the flowers spawn. Hopefully, okay. Hopefully, hopefully, I can find a couple spawn points for the flower that Jakoda showeth. I don't really know. I don't have like like a lot of the resources. You kind of get a recollection of like where they generally spawn. Now I'll probably, after doing that today with the obsidian, I'll probably have a better recollection going forward of where to get the obsidian, like where the drop points are. I don't know if I need Nahomium, but that's one of the things I want to look for while I'm here. Just because it's always good if you're looking around for something to get all the things you can find in the area. It's no sense, like when I first started playing, I kept thinking like, I'm not going to worry about that stuff because I'm not doing any crafting right now anyways. And I wouldn't say I deeply regret it, but I regret it enough that I wish I would have went back and just been picking those things up as I went. Because it doesn't really take that much effort when you're doing something else. You can just stop and harvest it, keep going. But after the fact, when you have to run around and harvest a bunch of it, I mean, I could have had tons of resources just from while I was grinding and whatever, just stopping and picking up the things I saw along the way. It might have only been 1 or 2 every day, but that would have been 1 or 2 every day that would have added up over months. And I think one of the other things you fall into is like you don't know when you first start playing a game if you're going to continue with it, so you're like, I won't worry about that because that's not a core element of the game, and then you end up here running around mining resources. And I don't really feel like fighting any of these guys because it's just a hassle, so trying to avoid contact here. Luckily, being level 20, you don't get aggroed on too much, unless you want to, but there's still the occasional unavoidable fight you'll run into. I kind of feel like those flowers spawn up here or by the oasis. I'm kind of leaning towards over by the oasis, but I think I'm just gonna have to run around and look. Because it could be both, it could be neither. It could be like they only spawn right here, you know, like there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason for placement of stuff in this game, which I kind of like. It makes it seem a little bit more natural, but it also makes it a little bit of a pain in the ass when you're trying to figure out where specific things might spawn. Oh, I think I see one there, maybe? Yeah, all right. So we know for sure we've got one over by the stone arch here. Because I know it spawns here, I'm going to kind of just do a little pass around this area and hopefully find a little bit more of it. I think I see one right there. Yeah. They're really difficult to see out here. I mean, they're like the tiniest, faintest line. Like maybe they're a little bit easier to see on like a monitor, but like for me, I just see like the tiniest, faintest green of line of green in the distance. And just heard something beep, but I don't know what it was. Huh. Strange business. Ah, there's one. Sweet. So I guess you just kind of find them just roaming around out here. What are we up to? 11. Nice. So hopefully I can find about a dozen more of these, give or take. Hopefully give. And that should give me a pretty decent... Where are all the worms that usually spawn in here? And what is that that's floating right there? Tree branch. Or antlers or something. Weird. Yeah, I think I've got enough resources once I get the Jakuta Shoth and the obsidian that I should be able to make like 10 of each potion, I think. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I wish I would have, in hindsight, not went to Guild City and just came into here and walked around. So I probably would have had a better chance at getting some drops. And I apologize if you can hear my Roomba. It's usually pretty quiet until it drives by the staircase. See, like, I feel like the Jakuta Shoth should spawn all over in here because it's sort of a special zone. But that, like, never happens in this game. Like, anywhere where there's, like, something you're like, oh, this is a little unique spot. There's never anything there. I feel like that's one of the, like one of the things that if I was designing the game, I would do that, because not only does it make sense from a practical plants crave water standpoint, kind of makes sense in terms of like level design. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make it very natural and random, and maybe it's just an algorithm that's like, all right, there can be this many obsidian or whatever in an area, and place them. But if that was the case, you would generally not see them in the exact same spots. You'd see them in really random spots. You'd see them up the sides of cliffs, things like that, and you don't really. So I kind of think that they sort of picked placement of things. I mean, maybe it was randomly generated where it was picked initially, but it has stayed with those spots. I don't know. And it'd be cool if there was like, naturally spreading resources. Like if nobody came and harvested something for a while, it would spread everywhere. Hey, look at that. I got an achievement. Herbs and ore. And like, I mean, if you look like at how abundant blade cactus is out here, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we're in a desert. There should be tons of blade cactus everywhere. And yeah, like the flower in the desert, yeah, that should be a little bit more rare. But like, I feel like the rarity spectrum is you either have so much of something that you don't care to even harvest it, or you have so few of something that you don't even notice that you should be harvesting it when you see it. Like, I feel like the blade cactus, every time you turn your head, there's another one in your sight. Which is, like I said, that's fine. But the rarity, it makes the rarity of the Jakota Shoth so much more apparent. What are we at now? 13. Yeah, there is definitely a distinct rarity factor to this and obsidian, which would explain why I have much less of them in my inventory. I didn't check high step, so maybe there is still like some even better deals to be had on them in high step. I only checked Guild City, and nobody was selling obsidian, and one person was selling Jakota Shoth. So hopefully there's somebody who has a shit ton of them in high step who's selling them for dirt cheap, especially the obsidian. But I don't feel like it's worth it to spend, say, $5 grand on obsidian and possibly get a return on it, but maybe not, you know? I just feel like the resource drop rate for it should be a little bit higher. So anyways, I'm going to pop back into Lucian, and hopefully there's more obsidian in there. I can pop back here, and then the desert shouldn't take me, or the jungle section shouldn't take me too long. I don't need as much of that. It's just some blue moon spore, and it's pretty readily available in there. I just happen to have used a lot of it in my last few potions, so is that... Those little lizards always throw me off. And what are we looking at for the time here? So I think Skyrim VR launches in like an hour or so. I have to double check, but about an hour. And I'll take a quick little break and get that launched and set up and everything when that time comes. And then we'll switch over to that. But in the meantime, we'll just keep passing some time through here. Normally, I wouldn't really want to do too much of this on a stream, but because it was a short stream today, only a couple hours for Orbus, I figured it was kind of the perfect time to do it once I started getting going today. Because with mine runs and stuff, like you're a little bit more limited. I mean, if there's lots and lots of people on and lots of groups, it's not a big deal. But this time of day is usually a little bit slower. Right now, Wow. Surprisingly, right now there's about 120 people on, which is like, I don't know, maybe 30 people higher than usual for this time of day. So that's interesting. I will have enough though to. Ooh, you know, I just had a brainstorm on how the drop rate for these things might work. They might pick a certain area, like this whole lower section can have between X amount and Y amount of resources of that particular type drop, which would explain why I come in here and there's 3 resources. The last time there was 2, the time before there was 1. The upper area, I went up there was 4 of them. Then the next time I go up, there's 1. And I mean, over here, I think I've only ever seen 1, but maybe when I go over there now, we'll see like 3 or 4 of them. I don't know. And that'll be kind of interesting to check as well, because it may mean that certain areas that are usually pretty good may not always be good, making it a little bit more important to check these spawn zones of these things. And I feel like the Jakota and the Ashoth in the desert was like just like one band. You know, you have from basically the oasis stretched straight across through the arches, and then over kind of towards the worm spawn pit. That's where they all spawned in. So you could basically just run back and forth along there and have a better chance at finding some than roaming around the whole desert. So that's pretty interesting as well. And yet again, I only see 1 over here. So, I am going to harvest this. Then we'll run back over up to the top area all the way around the back. It's probably a quicker way that I could teleport over there, but I've only got 1 Rune Major agent left. So I'm going to hang on to that for now. I got more in my stash, I guess, but whatever. So I'm going to run over there, harvest those, teleport back home. Yeah, teleport back home. And then I'm going to head over, check the prices in High Step, see if there's Obsidian, Jakota Shoth, or maybe really, really cheap Blue Moon Spores. If they were like 20 or 30, I might just buy a bunch of those instead of going out to the jungle. But probably going to go out there anyways because I need to get some Linstanium off the center Snake Pit Battlefield Island, whatever. And then we'll come back to the house and we'll make a couple dyes up. And hopefully we'll have enough to make a decent amount. I'm probably going to put them all in my stall. And basically what I've been doing is just like anything that I might use, I'm going to put it into the stall, put it up for sale. If it sells, great. If not, whatever. I can pull it out and use it myself anytime I want. And I'm hoping I get like 4 Linstanium on the island and Blue Moon Spore. I know pretty much the main places they spawn, so I can just quickly rip through, grab. I think I only need like a dozen of them or something like that. I think I already had like a bunch of them, so they're not a super crucial item. I'll still be able to make a bunch of dyes even if I didn't get any of them. And we should be well within our time frame before switching over to Skyrim to do all that. I just wish there was a way I could like grappling hook my way up top there, because that's where I need to go. I also think another thing is like doing stuff like this, resource harvesting, where you're looking for a specific resource and you're starting to discover the places where it could spawn. When you're playing the game normally, it makes you more likely to be like, oh shit, I better harvest that because I know that I don't see them that often. So if you're harvesting, you know, even a couple of them while you're playing normally, you're getting a surplus slowly built up of them, which for a lot of resources is pretty easy to do. I mean, running around the desert, I just got 25 blade cactus for nothing. Like, I didn't do anything. I just ran around and got them. So, some of the resources is super easy to do that, and other ones, not so much. I've got 14 Jakuta Shoth, and I think I bought half of those. So, and then 13 obsidian from far too much time spent in here is like pretty substantially bad drops. I might actually even, that would be fun. I was gonna say I might actually even run back through into the desert and quickly harvest some more of that Jakuta Shoth, but I just really don't want to. I'm really, really hoping we get a massive drop up here again and not just one or two. Seeing 4 of them up here was pretty awesome. I mean, luckily I got like 3 down below there this time, so the drop rate in that section was a lot higher. Still only got 1 at the back. But if I get a bunch up here, that would be pretty awesome. My guess is there will be 2 of them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Nice. All right, so we'll grab these. Come on. And we'll head back. And I'm going to check if anybody is selling obsidian or Jakuta Shoth in town for very cheap. I think under 100 dram is like an instant buy on either for me, just due to the rarity of it. But I won't really know until I... I've noticed that most people who are vendors will only sell the stuff that they really have an abundance of. 200 for obsidian. 200 isn't super bad, but it's a little bit on the high side for what I want to pay. $240, $79 for Jakuta Shoth. Maybe I'll buy a couple of those. Oh, he only had 1? No. Yeah, that's a pretty good price for Jakuta Shoth. See, and that, to me, like, that's... While that is, like, a more rare flower, it's not that valuable. It has a few uses in some potions and dyes, but, I mean, if you're not making dyes, it's basically useless. Yeah, it's 200 there. I don't think I sold anything. I was just looking at the quantity numbers to try and tell me if I sold anything. All right, so we got a pretty decent amount of stuff now. So basically, I'm looking for Linstanium and Blue Moon Spore. I'm going to drop my settings back down because the jungle is pretty dense and it's a lot more difficult to see some of that stuff. You know what? These are here. I'm going to harvest them. I don't really need a ton of queens here right now, but it's always good to have some handy. I'm really hoping those guys fighting that spider over there aren't harvesting all the shit that's laying around. They probably are. I see some Linstanium and Blue Moon there, so maybe not. I don't know. Oh yeah, lots of Blue Moon Spore here. There's my Linstanium.
Damn it.
All right, I think I've cleared this island off. Just gonna check at the back over here. And then I'll run around back to, I don't know if any spawns in the jungle by Mountain Crest. I have a feeling none does, but maybe. Holy shit, what a grouping here. Look at all these guys. I love it when there's a big group of people working together like that. They're all under-leveled, and they're going to get less XP as a result of being in a big group. But playing like that is always so much more fun. think we're just about done harvesting here. I just need to get maybe like another half a dozen blue moon spores, which shouldn't be too difficult. They always spawn right around the corner up here. And then we'll go and we'll make some dyes up. Ooh, what is that? Is that coconut? Oh, yeah. I haven't found any of these in a while. Maybe because I'm never over here, but I might do a quick loop around here just to see if there's any coconut milk. I need it for... What did I use it for? I used it for a bunch of... in a potion. Which one was it? Damn. Is this Linstanium? Grathorp. I don't really think I need much Grathorp, but I might as well harvest it anyways. And I'm probably going to draw aggro from these. Maybe not. But the coconut milk, that's a pretty valuable one. I wouldn't say that it's particularly rare. It's about on the same rarity scale as Jakuta, Shoth, and Obsidian. But the fact that it doesn't drop all the time, and that you, because of the spawn area of where it can drop, is not, you may not have actually walked all the way to get it. Kind of makes it a little bit more valuable because the drop rate isn't crazy bad, but it's like where it's dropping affects that. Couple coconut milk, nice. And depending on what I have left, after making some potion or after making some dyes, I may actually end up making some more potions as well. And when I'm back there, I'm also going to check on my potions to see if any of them have aged. I don't think they will have. I think the what did I make? I believe like the mask scent is going to take forever. That's the invisibility potion. Is it? It might be the pack mule potion that I made, or what else did I make? Maybe an empowered strikes or something. I don't know. I have something else aging in there. I want to say it's pack mule, and that one I think takes about a week to age. So we shall see. But it all depends if I have enough time. I'm probably going to start streaming Skyrim VR in half an hour, give or take. I think that's about when it launches. I'll have to keep an eye on my Steam library. It's all preloaded and everything, so I don't need to install it or anything, but it's it'll probably have some kind of another patch it needs to apply at launch. Most of these AAA titles have some sort of a day one patch. It's funny because a lot of people get upset about that and they're like, oh, it's, you know, $60 game and it's got a day one patch. And it's like, would you rather they not patch it? Would you rather they just leave it busted ass? Am I in combat with something? Oh, I'm over encumbered. All right. Am I really carrying that much shit? Fuck, I guess I am. Dun, 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 da, 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 da. I just want this one because it's here. In the words of Phil Collins, take me home. But I don't remember how to do this spell. What is the high step? Diamond with the center Y. Damn, that was a deep cut. It's gonna take me a while to get back into my house. I don't want to drop any of this shit though. Maybe I could throw these apples out. Hang on. Ugh. Yeah. Is that gonna be enough though? Yeah. I didn't need those apples anyways. I got a whole bunch of them. Wait a minute, did somebody buy my last aged fish scented tractor? Son of a bitch. It must have happened yesterday. Or something. Come on. So I'm hoping I've got enough to make a bunch of the potions. The orange accent is what I want to focus on, I think. Mainly because it's a little bit more valuable. So I need all of my Jakud Oshoth. Suck one. Do I need Weeping Crota for this? Yes, I do. Okay. Not gonna need Knight's Tear. Not gonna need the Obsidian for this one. Need my reed flute. Fuck, I really don't have much reed flute. I might have to quickly run out and grab some of that too. Trialtro. So these are the ones I'm limited on. Oakfish, Jakoda Shoth. So it's probably going to be limited by the Jakoda Shoth, which means I can make 13. So I need 13 reed flute. I've got that. Split out, take those out, put them back. So I've got the Jakoda Shoth. The Cloakfish, I need 16. I think I've got that. Oh, yeah. Ugh. Okay, so let's go like this. Jakoda Shoth. Reed Flute, Cloakfish. So that's 13, 13. Wait. No, I needed 26 Cloakfish. Fuck. Uh, 26 Cloakfish. Yes. 13 Chitrialtro. Do I have enough? Okay, I don't. So I'm going to be taking out a couple more out of this. So I'll be down to 11 of them. Okay, so I can take out... Oh, wait, is that 12? No, hang on. 11. So I need to take out 4. Yeah. Okay, so 22, 11, 22, 11, 2, 11, 22, 11, 11 Cryogel. Man, I got a lot of Cryogel. $11 Cryogel and 22 Weeping Crota. All right, so I have enough to make 11 orange accent dyes. So that's what we gonna do. Whoa, these ones are gonna take a while. Alrighty. So, 2 Jakota Shuth and a reed flute to start. And then 2 cloakfish when it's turquoise, which is now. Chitraltro and Cryochill when it's red. Ugh, what a wait. And 2 Weeping Crota when it's yellow. And bottle when it's red. That's 1. This is a pretty tedious recipe to make, but I think it's one of the better looking dyes in the game. It's the only accent dye you can currently make, so yeah, I think it's worth it. And the value for selling it, it's not too bad. Chitraltro Cryochill went red, and 2 Weeping Crota went yellow. Maybe after I make this next one, take a quick break and throw the orange accent on the current, or on my other set of armor, just to see what it looks like and what it accents. So I am kind of curious. All right. So let's see. All right. In here, orange accent dye. So it really only does the straps and the sides? Phew, that sucks. That is weak as hell. And then I imagine the main dye is just going to do the body part of it, and you'll still have this stupid teal look underneath, or it'll dye the underneath and leave the chest looking the same. That's dumb. Though they did announce last night, and they showed some drawings that the team has been working on of what the armor is going to be redesigned as, because pretty much everyone across the board was like, this armor looks like shit. Doesn't look like armor at all. It looks like scuba suits and ballet spandex and stuff. And I agree. But with some minor adjustments, this armor could have looked really great. It all looks unfinished. All of the armors look unfinished, unoptimized, which is a little bit of a bummer. But I think maybe part of the reason why you don't see this dye is one part because Jakkud, Ashoth, and Cloakfish are less plentiful. Chitrialtro as well, I guess, to an extent, though I find it pretty easy to build up some of that just going through the Lamb of Orin. But also because of how long it fucking takes to make. It feels like there's a whole lot of standing around with this one. I don't even know if we're gonna get all these made today. Because it is almost Skyrim VR time. Ooh, voice route, ah! Ugh. Stupid cables. Stupid cabled VR. I'm just trying to keep an eye on the Steam library status to see when it's going to update to say, go ahead and play this game. And that's when I will hop off of here. We'll take a quick little break while I get everything set up for that. And we'll rock and roll. I think I might just call this one my last one for the day. It's a little bit too tedious for what I feel like doing right now. I want to kill things, and the sooner I get everything set up for Skyrim, the sooner I can do that. I wonder if it's gonna make me watch that cutscene at the beginning where they go to like cut your head off and the dragon comes in. I wonder if it's gonna make me watch that in first person where I'm laying on the thing. That would be a little absurd. Okay, we got some accent dies. I'm gonna quickly run outside, throw these into my thingamajig, you know, the thing where you sell the things. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll sign out of here, and we'll be right back, and we'll play some Skyrim. I haven't played Skyrim since like 2013. Let's see if these guys got orange accent dye. They have a price war going on, which I really enjoy. I like just dropping in to see what their price war is at. I don't think either of them have orange accent dye. Do not see it. Carly probably does. And I don't know whose stall this is, but they usually seem to have a bunch of stuff as well. So 3,000 from them. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna sell it for 2,500 because I'm a badass.
What'll she buy? Hello. Oh, okay. Here. This is the lady. What the fuck? He was pointing us towards the racket with these fuckers charging ridiculous prices. These are reasonable. Oh, teal accent. Well, Dram major die. Interesting. That sucks. Oh, I can't.
Ooh, somebody bought something for 1,900. Shadow die. Oh, sweet. Cool. All right. Well, we'll pop back in the house, and then I will be right back while I get everything set up for Skyrim, and it should be launched by the time we're back, I'm hoping. If not, I don't know. I guess I'll just stand here and look blankly at the screen for a while. I'll turn my headset around and point it at my face and just stare. You ever seen that video of it's like a 12-year-old girl singing like what the fuck is she singing? It's like Taylor Swift or something like that. And she has these big Coke bottle glasses, and there's like uncomfortably long periods in the song where she's just staring blankly at the screen. That's what I'm gonna do if it's not launched. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. We still got a few minutes to find out. I'm pretty sure it launches at 4. Either way, what I will do is I'll get all that set up. I'll probably have to stop the stream and restart it, just for the sake of episode labeling and whatnot. But I assure you I will be back in like probably 5 to 10 minutes. We'll start up with that. Alrighty. Un momento. Hey yo, dear diary. I've made a terrible mistake. I forgot about daylight savings time. So, yeah, Skyrim doesn't launch for like another 50 minutes or some shit. Yeah. Either way, until that happens, we'll continue with our potion making and whatever. I don't really want to get too heavy into anything today in this, and I'm glad I did what I did today. I'm gonna keep making those orange accent dies since everything's set up here to do that. So, seeing as I got a couple of you in here, what kind of build do you want me to do in Skyrim? I hadn't really put much thought into it. There's obviously advantages and disadvantages to playing any of the types of builds in that game. I don't think any of them are overly crucial at an end game level, but gameplay-wise, what do you guys want to see? Anything in particular? I kind of had been thinking about doing something with sorcery. Just because I play sword and board in this game, so it might be kind of nice to mix it up. But I'm always down to hack and slash. Weeping Crota. I think the other thing too is it's nice to be able to compare the same mechanics across different games. What is sword and board in this game like versus what is sword and board like in Skyrim? And from a VR standpoint, that could be quite substantially different. Maybe stabbing is a thing in that game. I haven't played a VR game where you really get to do a lot of stabbing. So maybe a stab oriented build would be the way to go. If you could do that. I don't know. Every game's sword mechanics are different. Yeah, I'm really the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards doing a magic-based build, just because I haven't done one before. But we can definitely play around with that. Also, daylight savings time is fucking stupid. Just want to say that. I want to put it on record from the bottom of my heart. I've lived with daylight savings time my whole life, and it's fucking stupid. Almost there. One more. Oyakasha. Do. Yeah. It's awesome, Cal thing. I mean, what I'm doing right now is a little bit on the boring side of this game. I'd say my main question is, do you like RPGs? You like a classic styled RPG with different classes in it. In this game, they're technically more considered subclasses. But if you like those things, if you like complex magic systems, if you like crafting, if you like exploration, it's a good game. And as far as VR goes, there really isn't a competitor to this. When you're talking about an MMORPG, you're already limiting it, but as soon as you put it in VR, it's super limited. So, I mean, your choices aren't really big, but I like that it's a small, tight community. I mean, the active player base varies, but usually 100 to 200 people online. of varying levels, and within that small community, there's a little bit more of a dedicated player base to the game, which I really like. The devs are very active and involved with the community. If you need help with something, you can get help either in game or on the forums, where you'll get responses pretty quickly, which I like. Yeah, the hand movements and physical interactions in the game are really solid. I mean, picking up objects and utilizing them and stuff feels good. I can't really speak to how it feels on the Rift, but I've never heard any complaints from anyone with Rift controllers, so I'd imagine it's about the same. Yeah, honestly, if you like WoW, this is going to be right up your alley. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on my Steam library just in case they release Skyrim VR a little bit early. So, aside from that, I like the basic gist of whether or not you'll like the game. It has a lot of cool things in it that I enjoy. I like the way that the subclass system works. Basically, I'm a level 20 warrior. If I put on a wand, I'm a level 16 mage, and they all have their own unique armors and stuff. So I like that concept. I like that the end game content is the focus of this game. I mean, they're putting in story modes, or like there is lots of story in the game already, but they're going to be putting in a little bit more of that and expanding the story a bit further. I believe it's the end of April they're doing that. And on top of that, you've got 3 dungeons that you do while leveling. Then you have the Tradu Mines, which is 4 dungeons with 2 bosses in each, so 8 bosses that are all level 20 geared. And then you have Shard Dungeons, which when you do the Tradu Dungeons, you'll get a shard, and you can use it's a randomly assigned shard that then you can redo all of those areas as like a level 21 plus, basically. And I really like that. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I would kind of say are WoW-esque. You know, a lot of the game basically feels a little bit more like the RuneScape kind of vibe, like kind of old school RPG-esque. The Shard Dungeons itself are basically peeled right out of WoW. I think the dungeon interactions in general, depending on the dungeon, are going to be either it's going to require you learn mechanics of the bosses, and each class plays its role. So I main a tank, so for me, holding aggro is important. But on top of holding aggro, there are certain mechanics in certain dungeons that are required. Certain bosses require you to slowly kite them. They have timing on their hits, so they'll be like 1 hit, 1 hit, 1 hit, wind up, and a big hit, and you got to block that big hit. Your healer's going to be healing you while you're doing that. So it's very party-oriented, and that's kind of why I say, like, it really has a WoW-esque feel to it. I don't know. I mean, the dungeons vary in how your interactions in them are going to matter. The Tradu Mines really introduced some serious... oh, fuck. I totally missed that. I wonder if I can let it cook right through red, or if it's just going to fail the potion. I should have been paying attention, sorry. I'm curious what happens, though, if it'll cycle around again. Will it just stay red? Huh. This will create a ruined potion. I don't want that. I want that. Yeah. What did I mess up here? I need 2 Jakota Shoth and 1 reed flute. Give me 1 second. Ooh. Lucky I caught that when I did. Okay, let's do this one again. And 1 reed flute. 2 cloakfish. Come on. There we go. Wait, did that put 2 in? I didn't see 2 things pop up, but it's we might be on the path to another ruined potion here. Anyway, so yeah, it's a very balanced game, but there are still some things that are being worked out, and I mean the devs are like they're very active. They put patches out all the time. You'll generally see, I don't know, maybe two or 3 patches a week. Obviously, you have a major patch and then bug fix patches, and then additional hot fixes and stuff that they do over the course of the week. So an active dev, like an active group of devs, is like really awesome to see in an indie game. Yeah, I heard 2 sounds too. That's why I'm not really sure. I heard 2 sounds but didn't see 2 pop-ups, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens. I don't think I wasted one of my eyes, but I mean, I guess it's possible. Yeah. We'll see. Right about now. Come on. Yeah. I had a feeling that might happen. That's okay. We made a whole bunch of these dyes. I'm going to go throw those in my thing. These ruined potions I'm just going to delete. Before I do that, let me check. That's not a big deal. So down here I have some potions that I've made that I'm aging. Potions, the one set of potions I have in there are the rarest potion in the game that you can age. They take about a month to age, and they make an invisibility potion that lasts 30 seconds. So, yeah. Hey, thanks, man.
What about
one of the other things I love about this game, I'm muted in game right now, but there's open voice communication, so you can walk around and talk to people.
Hey, guy with the yellow outfit. Yo. I need to ask you a very important question after I give you a beautiful hug. Come
What's up? Oh, bring it in. Yeah.
Alright, mate.
What's up?
Some this, I mean, goddamn, look at you, bro. If I wasn't gay, I would have kissed you already.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, okay. So I need myself some freaking armed wargs.
Armored wargs? Okay, so
Yeah.
you're gonna go out that gate over there, and you know there's like that little sort of like city thing that's like to the left, like there's like an orchard around it.
Okay.
So you're gonna go that way, and you're gonna keep following that all the way around until you get to a town called Wenderwood, and outside of Wenderwood, that's where you'll see them.
Okay, we were very close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Okay,
when you
well,
see
thank
when
you,
you
I
see when
appreciate it.
if you've seen where that donkey cart is going along that road,
Yeah.
just keep following that road down, and it takes you right to Wenderwood.
Hold on, what was that? I got lost in your beautiful eyes.
They are pretty magnificent, you know.
It really like just the swag makes your eyes pop out some more, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
All right.
like, all right, man. We'll
good luck,
catch you later.
guys.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah, no problem. So that's one of the things I like about this game. There is fantastic player interaction because it's an open mic system. You walk up, you know, you take a look at people's names, you can see what their gear is like, all that shit. So yeah, and the reason I like that is because you can go up and say like, hey man, I don't know how to do this. Can you show me how to do this? This guy's checking out my wares. Yeah, get you some. Ooh, what did he buy? Oh, more shadow dye? Good boy. Good boy. Cool. So we got a stall we sell stuff with. You have to bid on these monthly. There's a limited amount of them. There's some here and there's some in Guild City, which isn't too far from here. And then you set your prices accordingly to how other people are setting them and what the market says and stuff. I don't know if you caught what I did when I walked up to that NPC, but to interact with NPCs, you walk up and you wave at them. I really like that. Oh. No, we're still at preload status for Skyrim. So yeah, anything you want to know about? I mean, here's some mages in town that are casting. I'll show you how magic works. Basically, you hold in trigger to start drawing. It's a 3-dimensional thing, obviously. And then you use the thumb pad in Vive anyways to do your casting. So, for example, let's look at... I'm not great at doing this spell because I don't use it that often. But this one is Frostbolt 1. It is very finicky, this magic system. And you kind of have to find out like what works. There we go. So it's a little bit more vertical than what I was doing. So that'll cast Frostbolt 1, which goes a little bit further and a little bit faster. Then this will cast Frostbolt 2, which won't go as fast or as far, but it does a little bit more damage. Then if you do this and make a slash through it, that is Frostbolt 3, which goes way, way slower and won't go nearly as far, but does a substantially larger amount of damage. By the same token, here's Fireball 1. Oh. Come on now. Don't do me like this, Fireball 1. Don't do me like this. Don't treat me like this. It's unfair. It's unjust. It's unbecouth. There we go. So that's Fireball 1. Behaves the same way. 1 is going to go faster and further. Fireball 2 is kind of like a angular capital B. Come on now. Don't be like this. Don't be so quick to not cast. Yeah, crit. So same thing there. And then I particularly like Fireball 3. I'm not spectacularly good at casting it, but I think it's a complex spell that I like doing. So this one you do a loop around the back. Something like that. Didn't cast, but let's try it again here. There we go. So that's Fireball 3. So those are sort of basic spells. Yeah, casting can definitely be painful. So then you get into things like the AoE type spells. So this one is Arcane Ray, which it'll shoot all around like so. That's one of the few that will penetrate enemies. So if you're trying to hit a whole mob, you could do that. There's a modification on that one called Arcane Bomb or Arcane Blast, something like that. So this is Arcane Bomb, which kind of has the same effect, but it's a splash thing, but it works the same way. And you have things like Mana Shield, which, if you look on my character here, it might... Yeah, so you can see the status effect shows up there. And on a warrior, that would show up on your shield. Ranger, it'll show up on your bow. But yeah, so you can see I have Mana Shield active right now. There's utility type spells, like the Light spell, which I am not good at casting. I fail this one all the time. Come on now. There we go. So Light spell will put a ball of light up in the air. You have non-utility spells, which are basically just useless but fun. Social type spells like Fireworks, if I can cast it ever. Sometimes can, I sometimes can't. Let's try and make it a little bit more vertical. This is one that I'm spectacularly bad at. I fail it all the time. But the magic in this game is all about consistency and practice and basically just doing it until you get it. There we go. So that'll go up and then it'll go like that. What else do we got for spells? There's Affliction, which is a damage over time spell. Affliction 2, which is same as the other spells, a little bit bigger, a little bit slower moving, not as big of a distance, but it does way more. You can stack up to 3 damage over time. Procs. What else did I got? Let's see here. Showed you those, showed you that, showed you that, showed you that, showed you that. Oh, I didn't show you Ice Lance, Decurse, or Pushback. Okay, so one of the things that you can do with casting is you'd say cast Frostbolt and then follow it up with Ice Lance. Ice Lance, what it does is its effect is basically when something is slowed due to like freezing, for example, you cast your Frostbolt, that puts a slowed freezing effect on them. When you use Ice Lance, it does more damage against targets who are afflicted with that. So that would be the appeal of using that. Pushback is a knockback spell. The higher level Pushback is a less consistent spell for me to cast, but just trying to get this. I cannot consistently cast this for shit, but sometimes I'll get it just by fluke. But this one is like a circle around it.
Or you can go into the wilds. But if you kill someone in the wilds, you become a bandit, and someone else can kill you without any penalty. And I think the guards will also attack you.
Anyways, it basically is the same as that except bigger, but it doesn't travel out. It shoots from the tip of your wand. What else did I have in here? Oh yeah, Decurse is something when someone's poisoned, you can cast that on them to decurse them. I can't cast Decurse on myself apparently. What else do we got? Pretty sure that's like the gist of most of the spells. So yeah, like I said, you've got sub-levels. So I'm a level 16 Rune Mage, and this is all on the same character. Level 20 Warrior. A level 8 Fisherman, so fishing is something in the game. This little kid's funny. And then with this shield, yeah, you'll see like I've got the same status icon, so I would see my procs and whatever underneath. And the warrior has all kinds of stuff, like if you were to do a sword dash or a shield bash or a damage bonus or healing bonus, depending on what it is. And you can actually see there's my shield bonus from what I just did. There's various capes and rings that have different effects. You have stats on the high-end gear like vitality and whatnot that all have effects. Different armor for different areas. The ranger has different arrows for doing different things. So like for example this and this, I pull them out. I have my regular bow and arrow, which if I hold it back will do a charge shot. I'm only a level 9 with this guy. Then you can use the grip button to grab onto the arrow, pull it back, same thing, and it'll do a pierced shot, which is more damage. You'll see these orbs on the thing. Basically, when you complete a long-range shot, like here, for example, there's a little low-level enemy there that I'm going to try and get. You see I got 2 orbs built up there? That's because of the range at which I hit him at. And that now I have 5. That's going to increase my damage and expend them as I do that. And with each shot, I might be using them as well as gaining them. So you can see like I'm still building up with those shots, but you can see they're like they get used and then they fade out over time. So I also have a trap that shows up on my chest that I can throw out that things can run into. It's not super useful unless you're playing solo, but it's there. It's a thing.
Oh wait, don't tell me everyone in
And yeah, so you got these various things like that. There's world bosses. I guess I never commented on the world bosses in the games. There's also a musketeer that's like your main healing class. I don't really have any of my musketeer gear on me or anything, but it's part of the game. So like, here's a bunch of people that I know in game.
You wanna go fishing with me or not? You good?
And they're kind of like, you get this sort of like end game community players. Here's a portal they just set up. This is gonna take them out to the dungeon. Woo!
I'm curious. Oh, we're in the rainforest.
So these guys shouldn't have came through here.
Rainforest. So that's how you teleport to the rainforest. Okay.
Oh, it's interesting.
I have this house teleport thing that's gonna take me right back there, which is why I went through here. And that brings me back into my house, where you can see the circle as you reach out for, say, a chest. You don't have to actually be on it. My chest out at my stall, I have to actually grab and lift, which you can also do in this one. The menus move with you, obviously. As far as the menus, you have your tabs within. You have a friends menu. You have fellowships, which are basically like guilds. They don't really have any benefit in game right now, but eventually they will. For groups, yeah, there's like an LFG thing, so you can add an LFG thing. And here I could see like, okay, this guy wants to do the level 16 dungeon. This guy wants to quest in the rainforest, which is like a level 10 to 12 area. Iscariot wants to do dungeons in Tradu Mines, which is like, he's obviously looking for like, not necessarily doing shard dungeons, but he wants to do Tradu Mines, and all they need is a healer, so that's what the brackets are on that. Settings in it are pretty standard. You've got in-game VoIP, you've got standard graphic stuff. I've been on low this entire time. It's because I was harvesting stuff earlier, and it's easier to see things when you're harvesting. Multiple movement modes. You can use it whether you have a front-facing setup or a 360-degree setup. You can have your run be determined, like slide movement, be determined by head look or by controller movement. But I use the head look because I can still strafe with with the thumb pads, and I can move in all directions like this. Whereas like my head, if I'm like just holding forward, I can walk around and basically use it normally. Yeah, so you've got a bunch of different options for that. And then these are a couple bug fixers. Like if you're at the end of a dungeon, you can hit 2 graveyard and it'll take you to the beginning of dungeon. Stuck combat just gets you out of the combat thing. This is for PvP. If you're in one of the wild zones, which are a PvP/PvE zone, this will make it so you can either attack people or not attack people. Menu gesture, I don't like it because I accidentally use it all the time, but basically it allows you to hold trigger, go like that, and open the menu. I would accidentally trigger it all the time because I'm walking around going like this, giving everyone the guns, you know? But yeah, honestly, it's a great game. If you like RPGs and you've got a VR setup, get it. There's nothing else like it in VR right now. Also, what happened to the lighting in here? Did it get way darker in here? I feel like it did. And yeah, sorry, I didn't answer your question earlier. Orbus is still in pre. It's early access on Steam, but as far as early access goes, like, this is a pretty polished game. As far as like early access goes, like, and they're constantly releasing stuff. If you're curious, Google OrbusVR, one word, OrbusVR blog, I think. And in there, they have a roadmap. I think they called it Q2 roadmap. And it'll tell you basically their release schedule of stuff for the next couple of months up until May, I think. And that is basically, they've been, so far since I started playing in end of December, they have stuck with that very well. Oh, and another thing I didn't show you actually is there are tile sets. So like this one is like F cross light, and so you have to drink a potion of runic sight, which when you use your attacks will tell you what the runes mean. You kind of have to decipher them. Then you would use using the same artificing or the potion making table over there. You can then use these alchemy ingredients that are like stones with these recipes that you find in the scattered across the world. Here are recipes for making these different things. Like the F, for example, is Knight's Tear, Nahomium, Obsidian, and Grathorp. That'll make a single F. So those would look, I think I have a couple that I made up here. Yeah, those would look basically like this. I mean, these are different symbols, but they would look like this. So then you take those components, once you've got them all made, come down here, plunk them in this chest, and then over here you're going to slot those in, hit create, and you'll get a tile set. Now I've got a tile set applied on this one, and I have a tile set applied on this one. And what they translate to is like, this one is doing the wound attack, which is like a DPS attack, and then 2 speed symbols. So basically what it means is when I do a wound that is like a certain speed and then a wound that is another speed, it will trigger that, which is an extra damage proc. All the tile sets are for extra damage. So this one is F. F is wound. The little affliction type symbol here is hamstring, which is a slow thing, and then another speed rune. So when I trigger wound and then hamstring at a certain speed, it will trigger that one and do some extra damage for that. I put that one on there specifically because I accidentally trigger hamstring all the time. But it works out to my benefit to give me a little bit extra damage for when I fuck up on an attack. And you've got fishing in game. You can make your lures by, I don't know, let's say eye and tongue and whatever. And then I hit finish and it'll make me my lure, which I can then equip when I have my fishing pole. It'll go in that slot. And different fish have different lures. So in here we've got, various fish in the game: sunfish, catfish, green-bellied bass, minnows, saddled lion eels, cloakfish, spiralback snails, dwarf sharks, ridgeback, axolotl, clownfish, phoenix fish, and I think that might be it for all the fish in the game right now. There might be some more, but I know they're adding a bunch more in the next coming months or whatever. So all those have lures that they're specifically drawn to. Basically, like with the dwarf shark, for example, the eye worm would be like its major attractant, and then you could put something on that would be like a minor attractant, and then something that's like a very minor attractant, and those things will like combined make a very good lure for catching those on. But then you have to go to a certain area to catch those, and you can put on things like luck rings or drink like fish scent attractant potions, and those will also help to catch those fish. Those are probably the major components of the game. What else could I tell you about? I mean, there's story quests and stuff. I haven't told you at all about the story quests in the game, but yeah, honestly, it's very worthwhile getting. I would say this: if you don't get, and these are examples of shards for shard dungeons. So like they have different tiers of levels. So you would start with, say, a random level 1, and when you finish that level 1 dungeon within 30 minutes, it'll give you a random level 2 one, and so on and so forth. Here's like an example of a fish scent attractor. When you cast spells, you don't use any of them, but when you teleport, you would use rune mage reagents, except for when you use your house teleport. But if you actually teleport using symbols, you'd use these, as well as if you do a resurrection spell to pick up a downed player. But yeah, there's world bosses as well, and yeah, not a lot is given to you in this game, not at all. So, but I mean, my thoughts are, if you don't like this game, you probably don't really like RPGs. There are some there are some faults with this game for sure. And it is early access. You have to approach it saying that not everything's going to be perfect, and a lot of things still kind of need window dressing. Like, you can't see it right now, but there's like a hovering load screen thing in front of me. Anytime you see a freeze in my stream, it's basically because of the load screen. I'm going to show you how those runes proc. So basically when I'm doing my wound combo, oh, my tracking went a little wonky there. So there you see a rune proc. I just had to hit the requirements for that rune for it to show up, and bada bing. You have zoned areas that are kind of like by level-ish. Another load screen. Load screens in general aren't too bad in this game, but they do kind of add up a bit. And yeah, you kind of see like, because of it's a mix of a couple things. Because of the draw distance and the amount of players in the game, effects going on and stuff, the game does seem a little bit flat, or I wouldn't say barren, but like it doesn't have a lot of window dressing. I mean, it's not going to look like, I don't know, Skyrim or something. It's not going to look very detailed and a finely crafted world and whatever. Because it's an MMO, it's always going to be a little bit stripped down in that sense. So. Yeah, and the combat varies from class to class. You know, as a tank, you have different shields. One is a tank shield and one is a DPS shield. So you equip whichever one is more practical to the situation you're in, and you can't change gear mid-combat, so that also has an effect on things. I'm just going to take you over into Guild City. It's just like a close city here. Just so you can kind of get a feel of like what the maximum of like detail in this game is. But honestly, they've created a fairly large world. Just to give you some perspective, I'll open up the maps and show you. This stupid thing. There it is. The maps, there's a bug right now with the map. So we started off in High Step. The player house is right in there. We walked out of High Step down here. Sorry, that's the player house. Walked out of High Step down here. This is where the loading zone was that I just went through, came down here. And then if we come back here, this is where that connects with. And we walked along here, and now we're standing right here. That's University Island right there. And Guild City's just around the corner here. But that's just to give you some perspective of how far we went, like a quarter of a map size basically. And there's like several zones. I mean, from here on the other side of this goes to one other map, and over here, which is that direction, goes over to another map. Neither of those maps have actual map pages. Then here's the jungle, the desert. And, you know, you've got all the wilds areas that aren't shown on there, which are equally as large as those map areas. So the game itself is quite large and expansive in terms of, like, how far you can go. I think to walk on foot from one side of the total map size to the other side probably take you, I think if you're, like, just hauling ass trying to get through, you could probably do it in about an hour. Maybe a little bit less than that. Probably less than that, but still quite large for an indie game. And so this is coming into Guild City. Again, that's University Island, and this is Guild City. So Guild City is one of the places where you have another set of player market stalls. And while I'm here, I'll show you the guild housing. But so this is about the maximum level of detail you would see in this game. And most of the game doesn't really look like this because you're in the wilderness. So yeah, you have all these player stalls where you can buy things. You come up to the vendors, you deal with them the same way. They have their set prices in here for things. You can buy all kinds of stuff. In here, you would find some quest givers early on in the game. I've resolved all my quests, so I don't really have anyone in here that I need to interact with. Anywhere you go, you'll see these apprentice smiths, which will repair your objects. Every now and then you'll see these books laying around in the game. They are lore books. A lot of them are like historical texts, which is kind of cool. So they add a little bit more lore into the game. And you get some stuff like this comes from quests, and some of it comes from stuff like this. But you get basically a pretty good feeling of how things work in the game based on that. You have player housing. You can move where your player housing is, and this would be how you respec. Oh, I never even talked about. So anyways, you can buy house deeds and fellowship certificates to start a fellowship or move your house. Most people don't move their house, but it's something you can do. And then you can also buy potion of forgetfulness for the talents. The talent tree is basically every 5 levels you get to pick one of 2 things. So each class can have 4 talents that they equip. And I mean, for warrior, it's based around tank versus solo DPS. And the tank one has a little bit more like party influence stuff. Like in the tank tree, if I shield bash, the whole team does a bit of extra damage. Whereas if I spec into the DPS side, when I do a shield bash, when I do a shield bash, I will do more damage than that one would. So this is the guild hall, which is super barren, super empty, and super dark, and it serves no purpose right now. But this is a place where only people in your fellowship can come into. And I mean, there's a training dummy in here, but it's not fully functional. It works for some stuff, but it doesn't for others. So yeah, I don't know. It's a great game. I've been playing it for like, I don't know, 3 months. Not quite. Yeah, like 3 months-ish, something like that. So in that 3 months, that's about how long it's taken me to get through the content in the game. And I play on average 5 out of 7 days of the week, and I play on average 4 to 6 hours per session. So I mean, that's like I've got like 320 hours, give or take, into the game. And in that 320 hours, that's about how long it's taken me to get to end game. And I'm not even like end to end game. I'm just like there. So there's a lot of content for your dollar, which is good. And I think the thing is, like, if you really, really hate grinding in a game, you may not be super keen on picking it up just yet. The quests give you XP, of course, but there's still going to be some dead zones where you're like, you're going to have to grind a little bit before you can level to kind of do the next content. And that's just because they wanted to get it out the door and get it, tested and kind of add stuff in over time. So they added in some new quests a little while ago, and they plan to add in a whole bunch more in the next month. So I don't know. I think it's totally worth it. Oh, definitely not. I would say on final release, whenever they decide for that to happen, there will probably be 400 to 500 hours worth of content in the game. Depending on how you define content. If you're just talking about the quests, no. But as with any MMO, grinding is a part of it. Harvesting is a part of it. Like, for example, there's some apples on the ground up here. I can grab my pickaxe, walk up to them. This is how you harvest anything. And it'll give me that apple. So that's how you harvest materials for making potions, for making dyes, etc., etc. So there's that kind of content as well. There's social content. If you enjoy just hanging out and chatting with people, it's something you can do in this game, and I hope they add more social stuff. I want to be able to jam on a loot in VR. I don't know if they're going to let me do that. And thank you, Teoframe. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is, it's a bad idea for any game developer to make a gigantic game when you haven't made a gigantic game before, but it's a bad idea to make a gigantic game without testing the individual elements first. And they still make mistakes that the community doesn't like sometimes. Like the new gear for the shard dungeons. A lot of people have been complaining about it
That's what it is.
to
Okay,
the
so
point
then
that
up
they're
here,
like,
it was
you know
up
what,
here.
we're gonna redesign it. So I mean, this is all low level gear these guys are wearing, but I'm gonna pop in the house here, and I will show you the difference between the gear sets. So right now, and I'll log out and show you it. This is what I'm looking like. I'm like a fucking tank. I'm a brightly colored tank, but I'm a tank. So I've dyed this bee yellow and royal purple accents. So this is like, it looks tanky still. And this is a mix of some different gear, but it looks good. Now, if I switch over to the new warrior gear from the highest level content in the game, it's just going to be the chest piece and the shoulders. The helmet is from this is Tradu, but it's the new helmet's kind of similar to this, so I'll show you. Obviously the only dye on this one is going to be the orange accents that I put on a little bit earlier down here. But look at it, I look like a little scrawny nerd. Yeah, let's go into the dungeon. So a lot of people have been complaining about that. And they're going to change it and put in something that looks beefy and awesome. So hopefully that happens relatively soon. They've said they're doing it, so I'm pumped on that. And good on them for listening to their player base and not just saying, yeah, this is what you get, fuck you. Yeah, I know, that's what everybody thinks. And like, it looks like you're wearing like spandex tights. Okay, so we got about 5 minutes until Skyrim launches, I guess. I got like preload done and all that stuff. So I'm gonna go grab a quick bite to eat and refill my water and all that jazz. And I'll probably disconnect the stream and reconnect the stream just to update the episode number and stuff and stream title and all that jazz, so that it saves properly for YouTube and means less work on my part, which is great. And then we will get going on that. So probably like 15 minutes tops, 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll be back in and we'll hop into Skyrim VR, where I'm probably going to be a mage, so I can cast fire and shit out of my hands. I'm pumped on that. Yes, no problem. And if you see Aeon in game, come and say hi. They need to start giving me a fucking affiliate program for this. All right, I will be right back, and we will get on with the show.